What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 mistakes that I made as an Instacart shopper, and hopefully you guys can learn from some of my mistakes. If you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you guys do like this video, be sure to hit that like button, as those both go a long way to help me grow. Without further ado, let's hop right into this video. So my first mistake that I made as an Instacart shopper is taking too large of batches. I would only look at the payouts. Kind of what Instacart wants you to do. That's why they make it big and bold. But you guys got to make sure you're looking at the number of items, the distance, and then I always like to look at like what kinds of items there are. So if there's like really heavy stuff or stuff that I just don't want to be doing at that time, make sure you're looking at that. I know it is hard because sometimes they are competitive and they go pretty fast. So you got to get really good at identifying orders that are worth your time, and not just choosing off of the payout. Mistake number 2, what I would do is I'd spend too much time on certain items. If I can't find an item, I would spend like upwards of 10 minutes looking for one item. And if you guys get yourself in a batch with like 30 items, you know, that you're spending 10 minutes on each item, you're spending quite a bit of time, a lot longer than you need to be. I mean, most customers that I've had are really cool with the replacements that I give. Just shoot them a text, you know, replace the item, and then shoot them a text and be like, hey, I want you to check that item that I replaced, is that good? Does that work for you? And a lot of the time they're like, yeah, that's fine. But if you're spending too much time on items, it really it hurts you, and that's kind of one of the biggest keys for me. And that's why I started out hating Instacart, because I literally would spend so much time on these batches that I really was just wasting time, you know what I mean? So that's my second tip. Customer communication. This kind of goes off of tip number 2 when I was talking about texting the customer and asking about, you know, replacing items, if that's cool with them. But my biggest thing with customer communication is make sure you're polite. I mean, you're gonna run into people that aren't polite to you. It's just gonna happen. It's just kind of part of the whole gig economy, honestly. But you just gotta, you know, turn your cheek, be polite to them. One thing that I really like to do is when I'm leaving the store, shoot them a text, be like, hey, I'm on my way to your drop-off location, because that kind of gives them time to get ready for you to, you know, arrive. It's kind of a polite and courtesy thing to do. So that's something I started, and is if you guys are like having good communication with your customer, it goes a long way with keeping your tips, and sometimes even, you know, getting more in the end. So that's probably one of my biggest tips for you guys, is just communicate professionally and politely, and just, you know, turn your cheek when you get a customer that's having a bad day. So my 4th mistake that I made that you guys need to be avoiding is I would take batches with really far distances. I should have screenshotted this batch yesterday that I saw pop up on my phone. It was like $50, or it was like $45, and I was like, whoa, that's really good. And then it was like 30 items or 40 items or something like that, and I was like, wow, that's probably, you know, I would probably accept that. But then I saw it was literally 50 miles away from the drop-off location. And the thing that you guys don't think about is, I mean, 50 miles isn't like, I mean, that's pretty far, but it's not like excessive. It is a little excessive, but not like crazy, like, you know what I mean? But you got to think about the way back, because you're doing 50 miles there and 50 miles back, and that is 100 miles, and you're putting 100 miles on your car for one job, and that's just excessive. So that's what you guys got to be thinking about when you're taking these long mileages. Double the miles most of the time, unless it's dropping off next to your house. But yeah, so make sure you double the mileage in your head for your expenses, because that's just being realistic with yourself. My 5th mistake that I made was I would take batches that, you know, ending my day, that would take me far away from my house, or away from my house. And I kind of started this with my DoorDash and Postmates stuff, is I would take, to end my day, I want to take batches or orders, in this analogy, to drop off near my house or wherever I'm going to end the day. So that being said, I can even afford to take lower batches and pay, or lower orders and pay, because they drop off near my house. And the reason I do this is because, for one, it is much more time efficient. You're not wasting that time driving. If we're using that 50-mile batch as an example, we're not wasting my time driving 50 miles there and back to my house. You're not putting 100 miles on your car because of the 50 there and 50 back, and you're saving your gas, obviously, and it's just a very fuel efficient thing to do, and very time efficient thing to do. So that was a mistake that I would make. So I recommend, waiting a couple, 10, 15, 20 even minutes before you go home, and look for a batch that drops off near your house. It'll pay for your gas all the way through the day. You know what I mean? It's just a little cover expenses kind of batch. You know what I mean? So that was a mistake that I was making. I would take orders and batches that just go way far away, and then I would backtrack. Mistake number 6 kind of goes off in mistake number 5, kind of how this whole video is. But anyway, when you're in the store and you're shopping, first off, you got to know in my tips video, I say you got to be familiar with your stores. So get familiar with your stores. But when you're in the store, you want to do one loop around the store, you know what I mean? And get being very efficient in the store, because if you're backtracking everywhere, you're not very efficient with your time, which costs you money, because that's time you could be doing other batches or other apps or what have you. So a mistake that I would do is I would just run around the store and just find stuff. But when you first walk in the store, look through your your items list, and kind of play it out in your head. Not even if you get it on 1 sweep or 2 sweeps, but even 3 sweeps going through 3 times efficiently is going to be better than you just running around the store, like a chicken with your head cut off trying to find stuff. So guys, those were my mistakes that I made starting out. If you guys learned something from this video, you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you guys want to see more of this kind of stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Those both go a long way to help me grow this channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.